In the previous video, we turned our GUI code into object-oriented code using classes. In this video, we will be using this class to test the GUI. We will import the class from another Python module. We'll create instances of the GUI class. We will programmatically invoke the GUI functionality. Then we will use Python's unit test framework, and we will look at the unit testing results. So let's look at how we can test our GUI. This is our GUI code here, and now it's in a class. So the first thing we can do is we create a new module, and the only thing we import at the top is the GUI class we just created in the previous video. That's the only import statement. All we do is we import this class from this module. It's a relative import, so mine is located in section 2 point, and that's the name of this Python file. Only the class. So the first thing we do in our new module, which we'll be using for testing, is create an instance of the class, and we save it in a local variable. I called it GUI_instance. And what that gives us is, because the update label we made a member of the class, we are self in this file here, we can now access it from this class. We can get the text that it currently displays. And for now, this is going to be our first test. We get the text of the label and print it out. So this will be our first test. And the next one is we will use again the GUI instance here, and we will invoke the click event1 method. And what that does, it gets the text that's in the first entry widget, and then it puts it onto the label, onto this guy here. So after that, we use this function here, we'll get the text of our label again. And in the first test, we expect the label to be the string less than label greater than. And after clicking the button, we do that programmatically here, we expect the string to be empty. And then our third test here is we create a new text. We use the entry1 string variable, and we set it to the new text. Then we click the method, and then when we get the text, we would expect that the new text displayed in the label is whatever this text is. So let's run this. So what we're getting back out here is we get the first one is label, the next one is an empty string, and the third one is the new text. So this seems to actually work. What we do at the bottom of this short Python module file is we call run GUI. And this is what actually runs the GUI. This starts the main event loop. And our unit test in the next file, we won't be calling this because we don't need to display the GUI at all. But this is just like when writing tests is a sanity check. So we run it, we see the printed output, and we can see our new text is test text, has been entered in here. Apparently it also appears as the text of the label because we programmatically entered this text here, programmatically clicked the button, and then programmatically got this value back out. So this really works. Now Python comes with a unit test framework built in, but we have to import it. So what we're doing here is we added this import unit test line of code, and we create a new class, and this time we use the unit test module and inherit Testcase from it. So our GUI unit test class inherits and extends from unit test Testcase. And what that gives us is we can now put our print statements, we can make them better. We can use self-assertEqual. And when we get the text, we don't have to rely on print statements, but the assertEqual function will compare the text we are getting to the expected text. So it's the same three tests. First is the default label, the second is a blank label, the third one here is the updated label. So that's basically the same, only instead of just print statements, we now automatically verify that it works. In the name equals main section, all we have to call is unit test.main. So this one line of code creates an instance of this class and runs every method within that class that starts with the word lowercase test. So test, test, test. It runs these, and let's just quick run here. In Eclipse, we can run the class by itself, or we can run it as a PyDev unit test. So what we see here is, in addition to the tests that are being run, we can add a setup and a teardown function. And before each of the tests is being run, setup will run, and after each test, teardown will run. So in setup, we create the instance of the GUI. In teardown, we set the instance to none. And this happens before and after each of those 3 tests. So this gives us a clean testing environment, so we don't have anything left over, anything missing. So we can see here, inside setup, the label is blank. So this is the second one, I guess, this one here. And then the next one is the label is this guy. So they don't run in the defined order here. All of them will run. And it says here 3 tests ran okay. And that's good. So this is working. So the Eclipse IDE comes with the PyUnit test visual runner built in. So instead of running our code regularly as a Python run, we can run it as Python unit test. You can see the little U here. That's Eclipse. When we run this, we get the visual output from the visual runner. So here we can see we ran 3 tests and the bar is green. Every single test passed. The same as in the console, only here we have also the print statements. So now, just to make sure that it's really running correctly and we're not fooling ourselves, so it's always a good idea to create a test where you know it should fail. So here, this is the same as where the label should be an empty string, but this time we are saying we're expecting the string to be A. So let's run this now. So what we're getting now is we ran 4 tests and failures we have 1. And it says assertion error, an empty string is what we got, and we expected the string with a lowercase a in it. Can do the same from here. When we run it from here as a unit test, should get the same result. It's importing the test module files, the framework basically. So when we look here now, we can see 4 out of 4, 1 failure, and this is a failure. It's the same result, only this is visual. In this video, we tested our GUI. In the entire section 2, we first organized our GUI using tab controls. We then displayed data using lists. We displayed images in the GUI. We added more widgets to the GUI. We changed over to code GUIs with OOP classes, and just now we use the Python unit testing framework. And in the next section, we will be creating GUIs in Python with PyQt5 instead of tkinter. So that's a different GUI framework available for Python, PyQt5.